Council for August 28th is now in session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our head in a moment of silence for those in the City of Hammond family who have lost loved ones in the past week, and silently pray for the safety of our fellow Americans in Texas. Amen. Thank you. Alrighty, Carmen, roll call vote, please.
Markovich.
Here.
Spitali.
Here.
Kalwinski.
Here.
Torres. Higgs. Emerson.
Here.
Warple. Rakos.
Here.
Venez.
Here, let the record reflect 6 present, 3 absent. Okay, moving on to the next item. I would like to, at this time, introduce the School City of Hammond. There are many of you here. I see school board members, etc. And you all were invited at the request of Councilman Markovich and Councilman Higgs in a letter back in May. And so now you have everything together, and we're looking forward to your presentation. Councilman, I would ask that you hold your questions until the presentation is over.
Madam
Thank
Chair
you.
Lady,
Yes, Councilman?
for a point of clarification, I believe the whole council requested them to be here, not just Councilman Higgs and myself. We made a motion and a letter was sent, and the council voted on that as a whole for them to attend, not just the 2 of us.
Thank you very much. All righty. Carmen, will you let the record reflect that Councilman Warple and Higgs are, who else was absent that I noticed? Councilman Torres is still not here. So we now have 8 present, 1 absent. Thank you. Dr. Watkins, Terry, whichever chooses to...
Madam Chair Lady,
Yes.
point of order, are you going to ask for suspension of the rules?
No, because they're on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who's first?
Okay, now
Good evening, Dr. Watkins.
You want to stand here?
Actually, at the microphone would be best. Dr. Watkins.
See?
Okay. There we go.
Walk right past.
All right. Thank you.
Pardon me. Let me know when you're ready for me to start.
The stage is yours.
Okay. First of all, let me begin by thanking the council for giving us this time to talk to you a little bit about the ensuing referendum that the school city of Hammond is pursuing. There are a number of administrators here who will talk to you about separate pieces of the referendum, and hopefully at the end, when we conclude our presentation, we can answer any questions that you may have or get back to you with any questions that we are unable to answer this evening. First of all, I'm sure you're aware, you've heard that the school city is pursuing 2 referendums, and a lot of that is caused by 2 reasons. Number one, the way the laws have changed out of the General Assembly in Indianapolis, and number 2, because of the funding that's coming out of the General Assembly in Indianapolis. There are two referendums that we're looking at. The first is called capital referendum. And what we like to do with the capital referendum is build a new building, replacing the aging Hammond High, and consolidate Hammond High School with Eggers Middle School, much like the schools that we have at Clark and Gavitt. The cost of that new construction will be shared with you by the financial people that we brought with us tonight. In addition, the capital referendum also includes the capital improvement, capital maintenance, capital construction of the other 25 buildings in the school city of Hammond. We have 21 schools and 4 buildings that we are required to maintain. And as you drive around the city of Hammond, I'm sure you have to recognize that we do a phenomenal job in keeping our buildings up, keeping them attractive, making them schools that kids are proud to be at, and we'd like to maintain that level of pride in our city and in our school city for our students in Hammond. The third thing we'd like to do with the capital referendum is upgrade technology as we move kids into education, learning, and competition for the 21st century. And the fourth thing we'd like to do in the capital referendum is to make sure that we have safety and security in all of our schools for all of our staff members and our students in particular. Second referendum is called an operating referendum. And what we'd like to do with the operating referendum is what many school corporations that are on our borders have already done, and that is they've raised the base salary of teachers in their school districts. We've lost a number of teachers to other corporations because they've passed referendums. They've upped their base salary, and teachers are now leaving Hammond to go where there's more money. The other thing we'd like to do is make the jobs in our corporation more competitive with our support staff. We're even losing our cooks, our cafeteria staff, because other corporations are paying more money and they're leaving our district to make that more money. The other thing we'd like to do with the operating referendum is to support and our bus transportation system throughout the system, the school system. And finally, we'd like to bring the kinds of programs into the school city of Hammond that prepares kids for, again, 21st century learning, such as Project Lead the Way and the STEM program, an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And some of our schools are even looking at becoming a STEAM program, which is incorporating the arts into those advanced technology, engineering, and mathematics programs. So basically, that's the function of the two referenda that we are looking at, capital and the operating. And I'd like to call on the next administrator to come up to give you a little more detail, and then at the end, we'll answer any questions you may have then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watkins. My name is James Burgraff, and I'm the Executive Director of Buildings and Grounds with the School City of Hammond. And as you heard from Dr. Watkins, we have some challenges ahead of us. And seeing that we're an educational facility, educational institute, that is our focus. It always will be, always should be. And everything we're talking to you tonight about is to support that function. So I'm here to talk to you about how the capital portion of the referendum will support the educational process in the school city of Hammond. Hammond High School, as Dr. Watkins mentioned, is part of that capital referendum. That's the major portion of it. Previous assessments have shown that we really need to replace that building. And it just, as years go on, as each year ticks by, it gets more and more of an importance. Why is that? Well, the building not only is difficult to support education because of the size of the classrooms, et cetera, but it also has some extensive infrastructure needs, infrastructure replacements. If we were to try to do some infrastructure renovations to that facility, we would be interrupting many portions of that building, which would require us to do some extensive code upgrades just to get to the piping and the electrical and the plumbing, all of those other components to upgrade them. We could, of course, ask for a waiver on some of those things, but I'm not certain why we would do that when we're looking at upgrading the facility to become a 21st century educational facility. And if we were to do those infrastructure renovations, besides being extremely exorbitantly costly, when we would be completed, we would still have a 100-year-old building with brand new infrastructure in the guts of the building, but it would still be inaccessible from an ADA standpoint, which is not a direction we would want to go for the public or for our students or staff. We, after several sites were considered in years past and of late, we've decided on the current Hammond High School site for the new facility, which would be a middle school, high school. We did a analysis, actually we had a professional consultant, Schmidt Associates, provide us with an analysis of that site to see that it would support a facility that we're looking for. And not only will it support it will support it well, and one of the components that's very important for us is that we can maintain the classes in Hammond High School while construction proceeds. And we can do that on that site. At the end of construction, the current high school would be raised, and then that area of the building or that area of the site would be support area, parking, and athletic facilities. Related to the capital improvements for the rest of the facilities, it's very easy to kind of go into to get stuck into the idea that we have all these new buildings in the school seat at Hammond. It seems like just yesterday that we were constructing those buildings. But the newest new building is 10 years old, and they need maintenance as well. The mechanical systems are typically have a lifespan of about 20 years. Low slope roofing warranties are typically 15 to 20 years. Asphalt life is about 10 years. We're past that in most of our facilities. Interior finishes it depends on the finish that we selected during the construction, but they have a lifespan of 10 to 20 years. So the upgrades at the existing rest of the buildings would include building envelope, that would be roofing, windows and doors where necessary, and walls, exterior tuck pointing, etc. We would also include heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Many of the systems are obsolete now and need to be replaced. Even in our new buildings, we have some systems that no longer can be supported with parts, so we have to replace them. VAV boxes, for example, we have motors that are no longer available, so we have to replace those VAV boxes. That's an example. Electrical systems throughout the district will be upgraded in order to support the new technology in those facilities. And in some cases, we have some plumbing upgrades to be done, and security and safety, including site hardscapes, the asphalt. We have some asphalt areas that we're concerned about from a safety standpoint, personnel. We don't want slips and trips and falls as people proceed to the building from their parking spaces. And we want to do some lighting upgrades as well. As Dr. Watkins mentioned, we will also be looking at some technology upgrades to keep us moving into the next century. And then interior finish, as I mentioned earlier, especially floor coverings. Many of our buildings, we definitely need to replace the floor coverings because they've become more of a distraction in the classrooms than what they are an enhancement. So everything we will be doing will be to enhance and to make certain that we're supporting instruction and supporting education. And anything that we have right now that is a distraction to that needs to be addressed, and that's what the capital portion of the referendum will help us address. So at this, I would like to introduce you to Chris Rivera, who will have another portion to present to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. I'd like to shed light on a couple of things that may go unnoticed at times. I'm going to share some facts about the deeply embedded relationship between the school city of Hammond and the community as it relates to some indirect aspects. We hope to maintain and even increase the relationship and its benefits through the resources that we do hopefully attain through the November 7th referendum. So as I go through these facts, just consider that these will be impacted, and they will have direct impact on even many of us here, family members, so on and so forth. So School City of Hammond employs 1,042 Hammond residents. That's a pretty significant number, considering some of the aspects that we're going to have to take cuts and make changes in. These things will be, that number would be impacted. The School City of Hammond does generate $1.2 million in local taxes, which supports the operations of the city of Hammond and helps contribute. We provide 26,000 meals a day to school children enrolled in our 20 different schools. The School City of Hammond has 70 buses that provide transportation to approximately 3,500 students daily. We have improved our graduation rate by 24% since 2009, which generates positively on the Hammond community as well by developing well-prepared employees who then come back and contribute to the school, to the city. We have over 900 staffers employed with advanced degrees, many of whom contribute to the community in various volunteer activities. Many of our support staff are actively involved in local churches, civic groups, sports leagues, etc., which can be impacted positively, I'd like to think, through this process. And finally, our locally elected School Board of Trustees recommended that voters approve referenda that will enable our schools to compete with other Lake County school districts for outstanding teachers and safe and secure facilities. So it's supported by our board members as well. And just furthermore, in closing, the school city will remain an active partner in our support of our local government, businesses, and Hammond residents. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Terry Myrick, and I'm Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services. And I get to come to you and plead on behalf of curriculum and instruction. And I want to tell you that if you would sit with those of us in the education field and talk about the success of schools, and if you talked about urban districts where you have a poverty level of 75% and you have high minority, people would say, oh, that's probably a failing district. But not in Hammond. We just won't allow that to happen when we talk about curriculum and instruction. I want to tell you, if you go back about 7 years, we were a failing district. We were an F district, and most of our schools were F schools. But I want to tell you, for 3 years in a row, we have maintained a C for our accountability grade as a district, despite the fact that 2 years ago, the I-STEP test became more rigorous, and other corporations around us had their letter grades drop. We did not. We were able to maintain that C and continue to move forward. And our goal is to become an A district. And we are continuously looking at ways to be better and to help our students with their achievement in our schools so that they can go on and be productive citizens in society. And not only do we offer that rigorous curriculum in the classroom, but we offer a wide variety of programs that maintain the interest of our students to keep our students in school. And if you look at the packet that I gave you, on one side, on the right side, is information on the referendum. And on the left side, I gave you a lot of information about our academic programs and things that are happening in the area of curriculum and instruction. For example, 7 years ago, I would have been very concerned if I were you about our graduation rates. But we've increased in the last 7 years our graduation rates by 24% across the district. We're keeping kids in school in Hammond. And the reason we're doing that is because we're finding ways to meet the needs of our kids, and we're implementing programs that interest them. We have a wide variety of career and technical programs at our Area Career Center that allows our students to get industry certifications and make them job ready as soon as they leave us. In addition, at the Area Career Center, we have an early college program in which we have 400 of our students, Hammond students from across the district. Doesn't matter which district you live in, you can apply to be in the early college program. Last year, we had our first class graduate. We had 9 students achieve an associate's degree as well as a high school diploma at the same time, which means they're already halfway there in getting that college diploma. We also had over 3,000 dual credits awarded at that early college program. So we have a number of students are going into college with 30, 40 college credits already, so they may have their first year of college already done when they start college. So we're really supporting our students to be one step ahead when they leave us. I'm sure you know about our Academy for Performing Arts at Morton High School. In fact, I ran into a former student who was in Dancing with the Stars with me a couple of years ago, and he was so excited to see me and tell me that he just got a job with Carnival Cruise Line, and he's going to be dancing on a cruise ship, and was really excited about what he was able to do with what he learned here in Hammond. Up at Clark, we have an advanced manufacturing program. You know, the state respects Hammond for what we're doing curriculum-wise. They came to us and asked us to be a pilot for that program. And after being a pilot for 1 year, we now have a permanent program up there. At Hammond High School, we have a JROTC program that has a large number of students in it. And it doesn't matter if you're a Hammond High student or a student across the district. If you want to be part of the JROTC program, you can go to Hammond High. The reason that we've put those programs at the various schools, different programs, is because it becomes costly to try and fund each of those programs at every school. And so what we do is we put different programs at different schools so that we can put those resources there, and then students can choose which school they go to and attend those programs. Of course, I know last year when I was here to talk about scholarships, I reminded you that Gavitt was a distinguished Title I school for the state of Indiana, which is quite an accomplishment. But what's even more incredible, and when I was at the Title I conference, people said to me, how do you do this in your school district? We had 3 of the 5 finalists in the state of Indiana were from the school city of Hammond. That's quite an accomplishment. So we have a lot to be proud of in our district, but the concern comes that if we don't get, especially the operating referendum, that we're going to be looking at eliminating probably 60 teacher positions for the following school year, which means larger class sizes. You're looking at elementary class sizes then rising up to 30, 35 in a class, and 35 to 40 at secondary. Well, you know that if you have larger class sizes, you can't really meet those individual needs. In addition, the concern rises about people leaving Hammond if they see those large class sizes. We also may have to look at eliminating the early college program, the Academy for Performing Arts, specials programs like art and music in the elementary, and even some of our dual credit and advanced placement classes. Not to mention eliminating transportation for general ed students, reducing spending on technology, and then reducing custodial positions, support staff positions, and administrative positions. We feel we've come a long way in the area of curriculum and instruction in the school city of Hammond. We want to move forward. We don't want to move backwards. We believe our kids deserve the best here in Hammond, and we want to continue to provide those services. Thank you. At this time, I want to introduce Theo Boone, who is our Chief Financial Officer, and he's going to talk to you about the finances behind the referendum.
You don't have this handout. Can I come out and pass these?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Terry. My name is Theophilus Boone. I'm the Assistant Superintendent and Chief Financial Officer for the School City of Hammond. I just want to talk to you about the numbers. So I just want to go over some important tax information. And starting with the fact first, I want to say as Dr. Watkins and Chris has already reiterated, that the school city of Hammond is committed to be a partner in the future with the city of Hammond. That's why our elected school board and trustees have had community meetings to listen to the concerns of the neighbors, of our businesses, and most importantly, our taxpayers. Let me start with the capital referendum. The school board has recommended that we would approve, the citizens of Hammond would approve a $110 million capital referendum to begin to build a new middle school, as the superintendent had already reiterated, and improve the safety and security of the schools that are already in existence. That is very critical these days and times, how security in our school district has become so much important, so much significant, seeing what's happening in other areas like Sandy Hook and those type of areas. So we do need to do some things to make some upgrades that are critical. Our overall goal is simple. That's to provide a safety and a secure environment for our students. We have some 13,800 plus students, including preschools, who attend our districts each day. We need to improve the transportation for those students and make headways there. That part falls under our operating, which was going to be $10 million for 7 years. Our state laws have hindered the school district's finances. Our state laws under the tax cap has reduced our revenues over the last 5 years by $11 million. It has completely wiped out our capital projects appropriation for this year and continue to be an erosion of our revenue as years go forward. Moreover, it's important to see the impact on the tax calculator that Chris just provided you. So residents can go on to our website and look at the tax calculator and see the particular impact it would be on their property. That is crucial, that they have an understanding of what those dollars look like. A little later in our presentation, Mrs. Pritchard will come to you with the actual year-by-year cost impact of the referendum. But for right now, I'd like Carl Sender of Sender & Company, he's our financial advisor, to come forward and share with you some of the increases that are happening on an individual basis for our residents. Carl? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Theo. I'm Carl Sender, financial advisor. Just to discuss a little bit about the tax impact to the residents. For the operating referendum, as Mr. Boone has mentioned, it's a 44-cent increase, and that if it's approved, it would go in effect in 2018. The capital referendum on a $110 million capital project is just under 36 cents, so a total of just under 80 cents per 100. Now the capital portion, the majority of it will not go in effect until 2020. This is important to note because in 2020, the exempt debt rate that's in effect for all taxing units in Lake County and presently for the city of Hammond, which includes township, schools, the city, other taxing units, libraries, is outside the 1, 2, 3 tax caps, and it's presently $1.18. So in 2020, that's going to fall off at the same time that the full impact of the capital referendum. And when you add in the 44-cent operating with the 36 cents of the capital, it's a decrease of 35 cents to the taxpayers. I think that's an important message to get out to the residents of Hammond, that this, in the first 2 years, yes, there will be a tax increase because the operating referendum will be in there. So for example, an $80,000 home, the increase on a monthly basis is only $7.24 in 2018 and just a little bit higher than that in 2019. Come 2020, as a result of the exempt debt rate falling off, and it's a I must have said different rate, but it's a 38-cent rate decrease. That monthly decrease combined with the referendum rate is going to be $6.29 on an $80,000 home. On an annual basis, that's a savings of over $75 annually. So I think that's an important message that the residents in the city of Hammond need to know, and I think Ms. Pritchett has more detail on what it looks like for individual homeowners. I also have a handout I'll be glad to pass out that kind of explains the roll-off of exempt debt for you as well.
Good afternoon. In your packets, if you will pull out on the right-hand side, there's a handout that you would have. It says tax impact.
What's your position?
My name is Alicia Pritchett. I'm the Executive Director of Business Services for the school district. As was mentioned, on our website, we have the tax calculator for homeowners to go in to look at their tax impact. We have to show both rates on the website. However, what you just heard was that the capital referendum does not take place to 2020, and that's key. And so we want to show this in a simplified way for homeowners. The first page that you're looking at, the average home value in Hammond, and we know this from our census data, is $80,000. Roughly about 68% of the homeowners in the city of Hammond fall in that range. If you take out most homeowners, if you live in a home, occupy the home, you will qualify for the homestead deduction. You'll see that on this page, $60,250 on an $80,000 home. That means the actual taxes that would be paid by a homeowner is $19,750. So in year 2018, the additional tax that will be paid by a homeowner would be $86.90. Most people get paid their taxes semi-annually. That equates to $43.45. In the year 2019, the additional tax would be $93.73. Semi-annually, that's $46.87. And roughly, we talk about, that's about the cost of a pizza if you look at $7.81 per month. A small pizza at that. In year 2020, what I want to really emphasize, and that's why I put in green, what's the additional tax impact? It's zero for year 2020. There is no tax impact in year 2020. What you just heard our financial advisors state, the actual, most taxpayers, all taxpayers actually, because everybody's paying above the cap for the additional exempt debt rate that we have current today. So actually in 2020, taxpayers will actually see a decrease in their tax bill as from what they're currently paying this year. There would be a decrease in their tax bill in 2020. So, and that's going forward. So if you look at, I gave the example of $80,000. The next sheet, I have an example, if you turn to the second page, of $100,000. I think these examples were requested at your last meeting. So the next example is $100,000 home. What's the impact? In year 2018, the additional tax is $144.10. Semi-annually, a taxpayer, a homeowner will be paying $72.05 twice a year, or that comes to $12.01 a month, about the size of a medium pizza. In year 2019, the additional tax rate is $155.43. Semi-annually, their tax bill would be $77.72 additionally. In year 2020, we want to emphasize the addition is zero. There is no additional tax in 2020 and going forward. Again, taxpayers will see a decrease in their tax bill. We turn to the third page. The next example is a home valued at $150,000. The additional tax is $287.10. The semi-annual tax would be $143.55 in year 2018. In year 2019, it would be $309.68 annually and $154.84 semi-annually. Again, in 2020, the additional amount is zero. And we want to make this clear, on the website, we have to show both rates. That's because that's what the DLGF requires. It's what taxpayers will see when they go to look at the question on the voting form. However, in year 2018, the operating tax rate of 44 cents is all a homeowner will pay. If they go to the calculator right now, they'll see the full rate of 80 cents. I think it comes up to like $157 on an $80,000 home. But what's key is the only rate that's applicable for 2018 is just the operating rate, which is far less than the combination of both. Same thing for 2019. There's a slight capital rate that's out there just for the interest portion only, which goes up to, I want to say, 47 cents. So it's only a slight increase in 2019. But in 2020, if you think about $1.18 coming off from the exempt debt that's above the 1%, 2%, and 3% rate that people are paying now, most people probably don't realize they're paying that over and above the cap. However, that's more than the 80 cents that's the total referendum or both referendums combined. So that's where that difference comes in, that in 2020 there is no tax impact. And I think that's very key for the residents and business leaders to know in the city of Hammond. At 2020, so we're talking about asking for additional money for 2 years, 2018 and 2019.
Is your exempt debt done? Oh.
Excuse me, Councilman. We'll wait until the end of the presentation.
And what I want to say is, for the exempt debt, this came about in 2009. The exempt debt was in addition to the 1%, 2%, and 3% tax caps for just Lake County and St. Joseph counties through 2019. That was what the statute, the law, was approved for. It's only through 2019, and it goes away in 2020. That's why that rate disappears. And that's key. That's huge as far as in this whole process of what's the additional tax amount to taxpayers.
Thank you. Does that conclude your presentation?
And one more thing I was just going to say, even for, if a person's a veteran, they're not going to pay anything because the veteran deduction is $24,360. If a person is blind or disabled, there's another deduction that's out there that's $12,480 that's not out there on the calculator. These are the exceptions where there's an additional deduction for other categories that a taxpayer may qualify. If you're over 65 and your income is $25,000 or less, and your home is under $183,000, you also qualify for a $12,480 exemption. Last year, currently in Hammond, there were 2,843 people in Hammond who actually received back a refund, which it can go up to $500, that qualified in those categories that I just named out, from blind, disabled, and over 65. So we just wanted to put the facts out there as far as what's the true tax impact to taxpayers and try to make it as simple as possible.
Thank you.
And I do have an example, just in case I just didn't go through, but I do have an example of what a homeowner, a house value of $500,000, what that impact would be if anyone wants a copy of it. There's a minimum amount of homeowners, $500,000 and over, but I do have an example just to show that impact and be willing to show any other impact if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman, your pleasure?
No, I was just, the question I had was, when you say the exempt debt goes away, does the referendum take care of the exempt debt we're carrying now?
Does the referendum
is part of the referendum covering the exempt debt we have now that makes it go away in 2020?
No, the impact of the referendum, it doesn't cover that. It's just by law, that's automatically taken off of the taxpayer's bill by law. We were only exempt through 2019 to request that extra levy from taxpayers.
Any other questions, Councilman?
I guess my question would be
Councilman Higgs?
in regards to the referendum, I see you have some scheduled dates of pursuing it and getting it out to the public. Generally, I guess, how's the response, or how do you feel in terms of the public in the city of Hammond, how are they responding to the referendum?
I think I can answer that. Dr. Watkins and some of our school board members have attended community sessions, and we find that it's been very receptive with the community. Mr. Higgs?
Councilman.
So,
who has another question?
I'm sorry. And I think it's been very positive is what I wanted to give my response to.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Markovich.
How many total employees do you have? Anybody can answer. Just sit there and just answer her. How many total employees do you have?
Full-time, I think we're approximately 1,700. And then we have subs and whatnot.
Total, subs, part-time, whatever.
Over 2,000? Over 2,000?
That's what you have, 2,000?
Over 2,000.
And how many students do you have?
13,800, and that's including preschool.
So how is it that you provide 26,000 meals a day to school children if you only have 13,800 students?
Breakfast and lunch, sometimes a third meal.
Breakfast and lunch?
We actually provide, to the elementary schools, we provide free breakfast and free lunch. And then we also have a partnership at a number of our schools with the YMCA daycare. And because of that, we also provide to a number of children who stay in the daycare a free supper also.
How many total of these lunches are free and how many are total or reduced? Lunches.
Well, all of our lunches in the elementary schools, all of the breakfast and lunches are free. Because we have such a high rate of free lunches at the elementary level, we are able to get subsidized from the government for all.
So what percent of your total students are on that programs?
75% is our poverty rate. That's the total of free and reduced lunches.
Is that in the entire city?
Councilman Higgs?
Is that for the entire city?
Yes.
And then how many of the students live outside the city that attend Hammond schools?
Roughly right now, we're at about
352 attend school here but don't live in the city.
correct.
And you said that,
Councilman Markovich, go ahead.
well, I'm just assuming I still have the floor to ask questions.
Lord.
He's going to drink.
Okay, and then how many employees live outside the district?
1,042 live in, then approximately 1,000 live out.
So half then. How many of your administrators live outside the city?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you have a list like that?
Sure, yeah, we of course have we get that information for you.
Now, I got a question on these fact sheets, and maybe I'm not reading it right. But like for a $100,000 home, how do you figure $67,250 for a homestead? Well, for a homestead deduction, how do you come up with that figure?
You have your homestead is 40, can put it in, but the way the formula works, hold on one second, let me find the sheet. The homestead deduction by itself is $45,000, plus the homestead supplemental is the difference between the actual homestead, your actual cost of your home, the AV of your home, minus the 45,000 times 35%. That comes to the homestead supplemental, and then you have your $3,000 for your mortgage if you have a mortgage of $3,000 or more. That's how you come up to the deduction.
So on a $100,000 home, you're saying somebody's going to get $67,250 of a homestead deduction?
If they live in the house, yes.
Well,
if they occupy the house, that's
Well,
correct.
I'm not getting that kind of deduction off my tax bill.
If you go out to the county and you file the papers, you have to go out to the county and file
File what papers?
papers for the homestead.
I have all of that. Mine doesn't total no $67,000 though.
We would have to.
I recommend you go into the tax cap calculator and fill it in, and it'll show you what yours should be. And then compare it to your bill.
I think that maybe with your examples that you gave, I think maybe you should do that and list that and put that out as a flyer.
Well,
People to see that.
We have that. I went through, actually talked to Mike Weezer this evening, and we went through just to make sure that as far as the information as to how the deductions come up, and that's exactly how that's how the calculation is done. So I don't know exactly, if looking at your tax bill, we'll have to see your tax bill to actually see what's on your tax bill and to come up with the calculation.
I would like on this tax impact sheets for 100,000, 150,000, the breakdown for the 84,750 and the 67,250, exactly what deductions are, to make it easier.
Okay.
I heard you on the radio the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to give out facts and figures over the radio when people don't have nothing in front of them.
It is.
Because I know when you invited us to your school board meeting, Mr. Sender rattled off a bunch of figures, and you put your thing on the screen, and nobody could see it because they said it was too small or whatever in that respect.
Actually, and I've actually brought my laptop in case someone wanted to use it
But
to actually
for
drop
each
in
one
the
of these
numbers.
homestead deductions, I mean, a homestead's usually 45,000, but then, that you're listing 67,250.
The homestead by itself is 45. The supplemental is an additional portion of what you get as a deduction.
Most people don't understand that, and so like if you can do that,
I will.
like
I
Mr.
will.
Boone said about
I will.
on a
Madam
computer
President.
where you can list it out, then that would be a lot helpful.
Give me an
Yes,
example,
Counsel.
same as what's on their tax bill currently.
But I can.
Madam President.
We can do the calculation for you for how the formula works.
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
The reality of it is, it's not their responsibility to tell you to file for all your exemptions, Councilman Martin, but she's only explaining what you're eligible for.
Thank you.
Correct.
Does anyone else have any
Madam
questions?
Chair Lady, you know what?
One moment.
I'm not
Council,
asking,
One moment.
I don't need anybody to
Councilman
tell
Markovich,
me
one
what
moment,
examples or
please.
exemptions I'm
Councilman
entitled to or
Markovich,
whatever.
One moment. You have had several opportunities to ask questions. I would like to see if there is anyone else up here who would like to ask any questions. So, is there anyone else who would like to ask questions of the school city representatives? Yes, Councilman Spitali.
The question is, assessed value is going up in our city, how is that going to affect us?
You're trying to say
Well,
I'm asking them.
currently, this year's assessed value went down, going up.
How
So
does that figure in the figures that you have, assessed value going up?
Well, let me say it this
We
way.
don't know where it's going to be, but it's going to go up.
Yeah, it does go up slightly. If it goes up slightly, what it really does mean is the values of the homes have gone up slightly, and then the taxes will be spread over a variety of homes.
How's that going to affect us?
but you still will it's still in 2020, there will be no additional tax in 2020.
So the figures that we have really aren't true because of the assessed value that will be increased probably as early as next year.
Well, the rate still would be on, the rate, if your house goes from 80 to 100,000, you still have the example of the 100,000 then would still fit into, that's how much a person will pay. It depends on what's the value of your home. You can drop any value of your home into the calculator to say, this is, based on this rate, this is what you're gonna pay. The rate's not changing, so the 44 cents will still be in place.
It will, but the capital rate, the 36 cents, if the assessed value goes up, our lease rental amount for paying the debt service is fixed. So if the assessed value goes up between now and 2020, that rate will come down. So that'll be even more of a tax savings, again, when the exempt debt falls off. So it'll be a benefit. It'll be a benefit. But Ms. Pritchett is correct that the 44 cents is a fixed rate, and that would stay in place.
Thank you. Councilman Karwinski, yes.
Thank you. You know, we have a large stock of rental property in the city of Hammond. So for the $100,000 home that is a rental property, what are your numbers for that? Any ideas?
Yeah, we did not run on other numbers, but again, if you would take the assessed value, you know, again, times 80 cents in 2020, but again, everyone's going to see a decrease. So you're going to see, again, about a 38-cent decrease in 2020. Now, 18 and 19, again, you just multiply, if 100,000 is your assessed value, times 44 cents per 100, and that would be what your increase is going to be in 18 and 19, a little higher in 19, but in 20, you're going to see a decrease of 38 cents.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Councilman Rakos, Warple? Okay, Councilman Markovich?
So with the example of 150,000, correct me if I'm wrong. What is the taxes being now paid for on a $150,000 home, which are so-called 84,750 deductions? What are the taxes being paid right now on that house?
Again, I don't think, unless it's in your example, I don't know that it's in your, it's just the increase, but again, you're presuming you're at the 1% rate?
No, my question is, what is the taxes being paid right now on a $150,000 home minus your so-called deductions? So you're saying an assessed value of $65,250. What are the taxes right now on that house for the school city?
Councilman Markovich, the property taxes calculation is a little bit more complicated than that. You pay the lesser of either the gross rate on your net assessed value or on your gross assessed value times 1%. So times 1% of, you know, $150,000, you're probably looking at $1,500 per year plus the exempt rate.
So somebody right now is paying $1,500 a year for school taxes on that house?
Not for school, that's for all taxes.
No, I'm asking, what is the person paying for a house just for the school alone? Not the total bill of $1,500. What are they paying right now for the school portion? You ought to have that figure.
Well, you have to also understand that the tax credits, the tax cap credits are shared by all the taxing units, but I'm guessing the schools probably makes up about 40% of the, would that be about right?
It's about 38% from what the calculation I got from my squeeze. It's 38% is what I share.
So 38% of $1,500.
So you can't figure that out? You don't have that figure?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring it with me tonight. We can certainly have handouts.
Well, then my next question, let's just say it's $600 then. Is that a fair thing? On a $1,500 tax bill, you're saying it's 40%? So it's $600 just for the school city alone, correct?
Correct.
So now if we take this tax impact for a $150,000 home in the year of 2018, there's going to be an additional tax of $287 added on to that $600?
Sounds right.
Okay. So just after the year 2019 on a $150,000 home, the taxes paid to the school city is going to be $1,196, $1,200 total, just for that house. Just for the schools, correct?
Approximately.
Yes, so that's what it is, $1,200 you're going to be asking. So then, if you're going to have 2018 and 2019, you're going to have the 287 and the 309, let's just call it 310. So $597 additional taxes to be paid on that house. Correct?
He's adding 2 years together.
Are you adding both years together?
Yes.
Okay,
So it's going to be $600 additional taxes just for those 2 years then.
okay.
So you're talking $1,200 total just for the school city alone on a $150,000 home. See,
For those 2 years, and then you go to 2020, and then you're going to see when the,
well, what happens? How much is it going to drop? Is it going to go from 1,200 to 900 then? What's it going to be?
well, the total savings is going to be 38 cents, and that includes all the debt. I guess we don't have it separated, but the school rate will probably be around 70 cents, the regular debt rate portion. We'll have to get you exact numbers.
Well, I mean, all I'm doing is asking questions that people are asking me, and I don't know. And if I'm asking you and you don't know, then who knows? Okay? The bottom line is, after 2019, there's going to be an increase of $600, or somebody's tax bill is going to be $1,200 just for the school itself. And you're going to say after the year 2020 is there's going to be a reduction. Well, what is that reduction going to be?
On a $150,000 house, is $771.19 comes off for the exempt debt portion.
So it's going to be,
$771.19 comes off for the exempt debt portion.
off of the $1,200, $1,196.
Yes, $771.19 comes off for a $150,000 house.
Well, you need to put those kind of figures out there and explain that to everybody, because just to say that it's only going to be an additional $287, and then the next year only another $309 only, but they're already paying $600 a year on top of that. You're not coming across and letting the people know that.
We're only
Thank you,
showing the
Councilman.
impact of the referendum.
Pardon me?
We're trying to depict the referendum impact.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're only saying $600 more over the next 2 years, it's only $600 for a new school and upgrades and everything. But you got to tell them also that they're already paying $600.
We're just trying to depict the referendum impact.
Well, you got to show them the whole picture, not just the referendum. People don't know how much they're paying now for their schools, for their taxes on their $150,000. You got to tell them that.
It does appear on their tax bill.
Pardon me?
It does appear on their tax bill.
Well, people don't really understand it. They just get that. I talked to a guy today, a senior citizen. He just pays his bill and that's it. He don't know anything about that. That's what you need to explain. You know, that it's going to, basically your taxes are going to double for just for the schools alone with that referendum.
For 2 years.
Well, yeah.
For 2 years.
And then whatever the figure is going to be, you're saying $771 where it's going to come off after that?
And actually, they'll see a decrease in 2020, yes.
They're
It'll
go-
be less than what they're paying currently this year.
So you say.
Ms. Pritchard?
Those are the facts.
Ms.
We're
Pritchard?
only speaking to the facts.
And Mr.
Those are
Boone.
the facts.
I understand that you have some public forums coming up. Would you like to announce publicly those dates so everyone has an opportunity? For those who have questions, every year a property owner gets a printout of our tax bill. It shows exactly where our taxes go. I would like to point out that of the property taxes that we pay, a portion of it goes to the county, to the township, to the school district, to the library, and to the city. All are separate taxing authorities. None of them have any authority over any each other's taxing ability. So when you have these public forums, I urge everyone who is a property owner to pull this out. Go to the school city website and use the calculator. Councilman Kalwinski, I did look at the rental properties, and the rental properties impact was significant. So would you like to announce those dates and locations so everyone can plan on attending? And then we will wrap up this portion of our meeting.
Right now, we have the Hammond High Cluster on September 7th at 6 o'clock. Enter door C. It'll be in the cafeteria at Hammond High. Right now, we have Clark Middle High School is September 13th, but Councilwoman Vanez told me before the meeting that is the mayor's night out, so we're going to go back and talk about that one. Gavitt Middle School High School Cluster is September 21st. You would enter Gavitt door C, and it will be in the cafeteria at 6 o'clock. The Morton High School Cluster will be on September 27th. You'll enter Morton door B, and that's the cafeteria at 6 o'clock. We've got 2 Crime Watch meetings, one on the 3rd of October with Harrison Park at the VFW on Holman Avenue. That is a 6 o'clock meeting. And the Crime Watch in Robertsdale on the 12th of October at the Cal College Room, which is room 200, and that's a 6:30 meeting. And then once again, we'll be back on WJOB on October 18th at 8 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for having us here this evening. And once again,
very much for coming, and thank you for the information. It was really quite helpful. I hope that many of our residents go back and view this meeting. Also, your shows on WJOB are very informative, and it gives everyone an opportunity to phone in and ask specific questions. So thank you again. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome. I understand if you'd like to take a pass on that.
I'd like to thank the council for giving us this time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone. Okay, so we're going to get on with the regular order of business. Reading of the minutes.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Spitali.
Motion to accept the minutes from August 14, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson, to accept the minutes of the August 14th, 2017 meeting. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved for August 14th, 2017. Moving on to claims.
Madam Chair Lady.
Yes, Councilman Markovich.
Move for approval of claims August 9th, 2017 through August 23rd, 2017 for council meeting August 28th. Beginning with claims dated 8/21/17 and ending with claims dated 8/23/17. Claim number 4902 through claim number 5221, along with the resubmission of claim 3597 for a total of $4,537,346.40. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs, to approve the claims for August 9th through August 23rd, 2017. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Carmen, roll call vote, please.
Markovich?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Torres? Higgs?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Warple?
Yes.
Rakos?
Yes.
Vanez?
Yes. Claims from August 9th through August 23rd passes. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Moving on to public hearings, there are none. Communications.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
I received a correspondence from the City Environmental Department. It says, Dear property owners and residents, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, with the corporation of the City of Hammond, has initiated a soil testing program in your neighborhood to determine if there are to evaluate levels of arsenic and lead in the residential soil. Last December, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management was given an authorization to sample the soil in the city-owned parkway and alleys in your neighborhood. The results of these parkways and alley soil samples revealed elevated levels of lead and arsenic in these areas and has determined a need to sample residential soil in your neighborhood. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management requested EPA to further investigate this matter and conduct a residential soil testing program. As part of the EPA soil testing program, you will be asked for permission to enter your property so that the soil samples can be taken and sent to the laboratory for analyzation. Although you are under no obligation to grant permission to the EPA to enter a sample of your soil, it is recommended you do so. Sampling of the soil of your property will help EPA determine if there are any environmental issues present, and if so, how best to address them. This is no cost to you. If you have any questions or would like to arrange to have your soil tested, please contact Sandra Vargo, U.S. EPA on screen coordinator, and telephone number or email address listed below by August 31st, 2017. And her email address is vegasonia@epa.gov. Her phone number is 630-481-5025. If you have any additional questions for the City of Hammond, please contact Richard L. Novak, Director of Hammond Department of Environmental Management at 5925 Calumet Avenue, Hammond, Indiana, 46320. And the number is 219-853-6306.
Thank you, Councilman Higgs. Any other communications?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman
The
Higgs.
annual Hammond Fire Department Fire Prevention Open House and new Fire Station 8 at 6550 Pierce Avenue, Hammond, Indiana, 46323 is Saturday, October 7, 2017 at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Public welcome all ages. Fire station tours, see the newly built station, raffles for free smoke detectors, multi-raffles for LCD flat screen and HD TVs, grant certificates for area businesses, 50-50 raffle, hot dogs, chips, and pop. Hammond Fire Department wishes you to come. Come and see the firefighters' new station.
Thank you. Any other communications?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Rakos?
Yes, I have communications from the HUGS organization, which stands for Hispanics United Government Services. They are having on Saturday, September 9th, they're going to host their first annual Mexican Independence Pageant at the Hammond Civic Center, 5825 Soul, with dinner, dance, and pageant. Tickets available. Their commitment for the contestants is to prepare. The main thing is the pageant. There's 4 young ladies that have qualified. Their commitment with the contestants is to prepare them with life skills to meet and accomplish demanding requirements. Our program consists of, but not limited to, classes in edict, mannerism, groom, public speaking, and private interviews. During the preparation, they'll visit different events for exposure and getting used to meeting the public. They also volunteer in programs to benefit the residents of Hammond and the surrounding cities. There are 4 phases of competition in the following order: interview, open dance number, talent, and evening gown onstage question. They'll be required to submit a platform statement and resume along with other application paperwork in order to participate in the HUGS pageant. Each contestant is required to raise $400. All proceeds will benefit the contestants to cover the cost of preparing contestants, conducting pageant, and prizes. All individuals connected to the pageant and parade are done on a volunteer basis. No salary is drawn from their events. Miss Hugs Court will serve as ambassadors and public relations representatives. They will have numerous required appearances through their reign and will serve as the official hostesses of the Hammond Mexican Independent Parade, which will be the following week on September 16th. They will be required to speak at various civic and charity functions about their platform and this organization. Ms. Hugs may perform for fundraisers, charities, schools, churches, etc. Will instill the importance of flexibility, personal organization, self-discipline, and punctuality.
Thank you. Any other communications?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. presents the City of Hammond Employee Dodgeball Tournament September 29, 2017. Will be held on Friday, the 29th, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. All city employee departments are welcome. We're at Gene Shepherd Center, 3031 Gene Memorial Drive, Hammond, Indiana, 46323.
Any other communications?
Madam President.
Yes,
The
Councilman.
indoor garage sale at the Gene Shepherd Center will be held on Saturday, November 4th, from 10 to 3 at the Gene Shepherd Center.
Anything else, Councilman?
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Thomas McDermott, the City of Hammond Planning Development, and volunteers, the Hearts of Hammond community, are now, the applications are available if you want to nominate someone for volunteer work throughout the city, and there are 4 categories: outstanding adult volunteer, outstanding adult team, outstanding adult organization, advocate for children. Applications are now available, and you can get them from the Department of Planning and Development at 5925 Calumet Avenue, Suite 115. They must be turned in by Monday, October 2nd, 2017.
Anything else, Councilman?
Madam President,
Okay, Councilman Rakos.
there'll be a ribbon cutting for the new park area. It's actually an old park that wasn't, that's been updated. 173rd and Klein Service Road tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It will be across from the Knights of Columbus, and there'll be plenty of kids from Scott School and the Girls on the Run who were very instrumental on Earth Day in April of helping us refurbish that park.
Thank you. Any other communications?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman.
I missed prayer, and I wanted to do a moment of silence, but I did want to give recognition to Cookie, who passed away. Was funeralized today, and she was very active in the city, and she will be missed.
Thank you. Any other communications? Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications are now closed. Moving on to committee reports.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman.
Finance will be bringing out 1719.
Thank you. And also at this time, I would like to read the upcoming Community and Crime Watch meetings that are starting back up again now that school is in session. Edison Community Watch will meet Wednesday, September 6th at Edison School, 6:30 p.m. The guest speaker will be Chief of Police John Doty. Edison on the Road will meet Friday, September 8th at the Golden Manor Senior Apartments on the corner of 175th and Columbia. That will be at 1 p.m. Harrison Park, I did not verify this one, but I believe they will have a meeting Tuesday, September 5th at the VFW on Homan Avenue, but if you have any questions on that one, please call me if you're interested in going. Irving Community Watch will meet Friday, September 1st at Irving School, 9:15 a.m. That is a bilingual program. If anyone is interested in hearing what is going on in your neighborhood, I urge you to attend one of the Community and Crime Watch meetings in your area. You not only get to speak to our community policing officers, who will give you safety tips and talk to you about any issues that you may have. But you also have an opportunity to meet your neighbors, because community is not just about me, it's about us. Committee reports is now closed. Moving on to ordinance, third and final reading.
Madam Chairman, woman,
Councilman, I believe Carmen will read the ordinance first.
1719, an ordinance creating a new fund, Fund 257, for the City of Hammond, for purposes of receiving and accounting for the one-time special distribution of local option income tax funds.
Thank you. Now, Councilman Warple.
my first mistake ever.
Yes.
I move for final passage and adoption of 1719.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Spitali for final passage of 1719. Any discussion?
Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, Councilman Warple.
This is a ordinance that creates a, if I got this right, one-time fund for the community crossing grants, which are being used as an example, 165th Street, some reconstruction. I believe this was money that was part of a grant in 2016. Am I correct? Or, you know what? I'm screwing it up. Can we just let Heather come up and speak on it?
Welcome, Heather.
Hi. You're close, Councilman. This is a fund that is to account for the one-time special distribution of local option income tax funds that we received in 2016. Originally, we were allowed to put them in our LRNS fund, but since that time, the State Board of Accounts has issued a memo requesting that we receipt those in Fund 257 so that it is receipted consistently across cities and towns throughout the state. Ours just opened up, so that's why we're taking care of it now. Those dollars are restricted to infrastructure projects, and ours will be used to apply for matching grant funds on the Community Crossings Grant. So our 2016 application was approved, and construction has begun, so these dollars will go into Fund 257 and then be used as a match for that other grant fund.
Thank you.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Councilman, seriously. Carmen, roll call vote, please, on 1719.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Kelwinsky.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. 1719 passes, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Moving on to, actually that closes ordinance third and final reading. Moving on to introduction of ordinances. Thank you.
1720, an ordinance amending ordinance number 8514, also known as the Hammond zoning ordinance, for purposes of adopting a planned unit development district ordinance for the Columbia Business Park Planned Unit Development, establishing the provisions for the Columbia Business Park Planned Unit Development as a supplement to the zoning ordinance.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
I'd like to be added as a sponsor of this particular ordinance, 1720.
Thank you, Carmen. All righty.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
I'd like to introduce 1720 on first and second reading by title and refer to council as a whole in building and zoning with an intent to consider on 9/11/2017. I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Warple, for first and second reading of 1720. Refer to council as a whole, I'm assuming at 5:15 on September 11th, Councilman Higgs. And also building and zoning on September 11th at 5:15 with an intent to consider on September 11th. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for the first and second of 1720. Okay. Resolutions, there are none. New and unfinished business.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
after taking a tour throughout my district, there are a number of issues I needed to address. So here are a few things that needed to be addressed. One is I'd like a letter sent to code enforcement in regards to 37 Waltham for a cut and clean, 40 Waltham for a cut and clean, and also for 5806 Erie for a cut and clean as well. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a letter sent to code enforcement for cut and cleans on 37 Waltham, 40 Waltham, 5806 Erie. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes,
I'd
Councilman.
like to add two more addresses, 818 Bauer and 911 Bauer as well for cut and cleans.
Councilman Werpel, you second that addition?
Yeah,
Thank
sure,
you.
second.
Okay. So we are adding 5806 Erie, 818, and 911 Bauer for cut and cleans on the letter going to code enforcement. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to send a letter to code enforcement. Thank you. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
I'd like a letter sent to engineering department in regards to the light at pole number 89 over at 607. The light is out on the 5800 block of road, and also the NIPSCO pole light 42673 5900 block of Chapel. It's been out for about 6 months. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs to have a letter sent to engineering regarding two lights that are out, 5800 Road, 5800 Tapper. I didn't get the poll numbers. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Motion carries to send a letter to engineering regarding two light poles that are out. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President.
Yes.
I also got another letter to go to code enforcement, 1137 Morris Street. It's a vacant property that needs a cut and clean as well. Send it to code enforcement. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Werpel to send a letter to code enforcement for a cut and clean on 1127 Morris. Any discussion?
That's 1137.
Thank you.
President.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
as you can tell, I'm having brain cramps tonight, and during the approval of claims, claim 3597 to Ice Miller for $5,000 was put back in, and just in the interest of keeping the public informed, we had a meeting with the judge. That claim is part of a $15,000 agreement that she has with this firm to help in the transfer of cases with closing the court. She has, to my satisfaction, at that meeting assured us that she will work with this council, with Heather and with the chief of staff and the mayor, and she wants to cooperate and close the court properly. So I saw a quizzical look on a face with like, hey, why is this being resubmitted? But she did answer our questions, and at least to my satisfaction and the other people that were in the meeting. So I just wanted to explain why it was put back in.
Thank you. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman
I'd
Higgs.
like to letter to code enforcement for 19 Webb that needs to be demoed. The property's been vacant for a number of years and it's just sitting there.
What's the address?
19 Webb.
Motion by Councilman Higgs to have a letter sent to code enforcement regarding 19 Webb that needs to be demolished. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Rakos to have a letter sent to code regarding 19 Webb and have it demolished. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. Moving on to public expression. We have two speakers this evening. Lori Zolno, welcome. State your name and address, please.
Good evening, Lori Zolno, 7142 Forest. I'd like to thank the council for its questions to the school board. I would invite you to go onto their calculator and put in the assessment of your house. I think y'all just got your property tax bill. I did it while I was sitting here. I think you'll be surprised or maybe appalled. There seemed to be a lot of additional questions that the school city was unable to answer. I would hope that the school city would work on making their answers a little less evasive. In my opinion, you can turn those numbers any way you like. If you tell me that something is 40% good, that makes it 60% bad. So you can read those numbers in either direction. I'd also like to point out that on the handout that the school city gave us, that they stated that their graduation rates and college career readiness placement test rates have increased since 2009 without any additional funding from us. While I understand the value of education and I work in education, I also know the waste involved in education. I would urge them to tighten their purse strings, to look at things. I'm not so sure tearing down a building is the way to do it. Additionally, they have their lunch numbers, yet they're subsidized. I believe there's federal subsidies that come through that. They implied that that was all on us. And lastly, I would like to say I was personally insulted and appalled that the school city would bring up Sandy Hook and use that as a motivation for increasing the referendum. While that was a terrible, awful, horrible disaster, I think that tugging on people's heartstrings with that making the inference that without this money, something like that would come to this city is terrible and totally unacceptable. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, George Stroya.
George Stoyer, Robertsdale. I was hoping that you would open up let some of the crowd or some of the people in the audience ask them the questions. Insofar as this was a public meeting, because you don't have any jurisdiction and you weren't going to vote on anything, it was basically to me an open meeting. But I don't want to quibble. What I am more concerned about is I think that this school referendum is more important than the train by far and away. And I don't think being informed and being given information amounts to adequate public discussion, not by a long shot. Because in the end, everything gets reduced to the cost of everything, and you don't see the value. You know, it's almost like that cynic saying, you know the cost of everything with the value of nothing. And they ain't selling us. It ain't you guys or anything. I'm just saying, it's not enough to hand out. I mean, it's good to have some information, but what we need, one, is an analysis. We need some argument. We need some persuasive effort. This thing needs to be sold. And I don't think that, I don't think going on WJOB or coming to large forums where everything, the medium is restricted to a few people asking a few questions, or in the case of a commercial forum where public participation is at the discretion of Jimmy Tilo or somebody else. I mean, that's absurd. Anyway, so I'm not raising this to be negative. I'm just saying, see, what notes I made here. We need some debate. We need some debate. People have to be allowed to not just gather the information and get locked up in their little cocoons and then go vote. I mean, yeah, that's what it comes down to, but this, like all political decisions, is a collective endeavor. It's everybody getting on the same page, meeting of the minds, not just the vote. Because I fear, what I fear is a civil war, so to speak, a civil war between renters and property owners. And for example, no one asked what the mean or average income of Hammond residents are. We got housing values and this and that, but then from what I understood from Councilman Kalwinski and some others, there is a great disparity between the renters and the homeowners, and that's just going to trickle down. So what happens then? And you've got then you've got the 1, 2, 3 solidifying in 2020. That means somebody's getting cut out of a lot of cash. So it's going to be a tug of war, almost like a battle royale of who's going to get that 1%. That 2%, how's that going to be distributed? And, property ownership, will we see a flight of capital out of Hammond? Because if we don't have a good school system, well, train ain't going to mean much. Let's just put it that way. Nobody will be around to use it.
Thank you, George. Public expression is now closed.
Make a motion to adjourn for this meeting.
Motion by Councilman Higgs.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Warple to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.